Hi everyone, welcome to episode 93 of Overdose and Chill Live. I'm Martin, I'm the SaaS Tech Director at Overdose. Today I've got two amazing guests. If you're interested in Shopify, I don't think we could have two better people to be chatting with. And it's also super timely to be doing this call today because Shopify just happened to drop about 100 product announcements last week. So welcome to all the way down from the South Island of New Zealand in lovely Wanaka. We've got Darryn from Shopify. Welcome, Darryn.
Hey, cheers. Good to be here. Should be fun.
Darryn's a technical partner advocate at Shopify, but more informally, I'd say he's just the guy we go to when we've got something we can't work out. So, it's really great to be on here today and not just talking about a problem we've got for a client. We're talking about all good new stuff, so that's exciting. And then we've also got Gabby here as well, who's our lead Shopify developer at Overdose. Welcome, Gabby. Gabby's been with Overdose for about 4 years. She was thrown straight into the deep end. I was trying to work out what your first build was with Overdose, and I think it was building a pretty risque men's underwear site. So
one of, yes.
One of.
That was a real initiation of fire there. And over the journey, Gabby's been part of some of our biggest Shopify projects. I'd say probably leading out Tupperware's digital transformations, probably your iconic piece of work to date. Gabby's also on the OD Slack channels. She's got her own emoji with the slug "Help me, Gabby." So that probably sums up what we how much we value Gabby. And she's also one of the most experienced Shopify developers going around. So it's fantastic to have her on here today as well. In terms of housekeeping, a couple of things I need to mention. We're broadcasting live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, which you probably already know if you're watching this because you'd be on one of those. If you have any questions, make sure you send them through on whatever channel you're on in the comments, and we'll try and get to them throughout the session and have a bit of time for some more questions at the end. Look forward to hearing from you there. And that's it. So we can get started. So enough talking from me. Let's jump into Shopify Editions. It was a bit of a different way for Shopify to announce all their product announcements, Darryn, and there's a lot in there to unpack.
Yeah. It's, so obviously, in the past, we've used Unite. If anyone watching is familiar with Unite, that was kind of our platform for doing these big product announcements, which was well and good. It served its purpose, but then we kind of realized that we've been releasing stuff all throughout the year, and we have some new releases. They're kind of 6 monthly and 12 monthly period. But there's no real good place where we can you can just go to and see, hey, Shopify's done all these things in the past 6 months. So that's where we brought in Editions. It's kind of a way to solidify and kind of collate all the great stuff we've been doing and add a few nice little extras we've been launching at that time as well. So it's kind of a step towards making it a bit more accessible, a bit more, have that kind of static place which people can refer to moving forward, and just have that single hub of all the updates we've been putting out.
Yeah, and it was really good to there's obviously we all look for the new stuff, but it actually is a really good reference point as well for anything else that's come out over the last year. There are a few things that I'd forgotten about, and also good just to remember how good some of that stuff is. So yeah, it was I think even just before this call, I was just going through the site again, looking for anything else that missed on there, and you pick up a few new things every time. So
even I learned some stuff just by looking at the site. What? How long has that been a thing? Some great stuff, and the team who put it together done an amazing job. I love the little developer mode thing you can click on as well and change the layout. It's pretty cool.
It is a fun site. There were a couple of things that were even I reckon were a bit older than a year that were in there, but it was good to see them again because I'd forgotten they existed. So, Gabby, what was I'll get you to start off with sort of your favourites. What are a couple of the things in there that got you excited?
Massive list. I honestly open it daily and I'm like, oh my gosh. You likened it to Christmas the other day, and it's 100% that. The longer you spend on that page, you're like, this is going to be awesome. Some big ones for us, obviously markets, new features in that space, moving more towards having one store and having multiple countries all served by the one Shopify instance is really interesting. Another one would be on the developer mode, we can see there's going to be some future work around filters and search. There's some features there that we've always filled that gap with apps, and maybe now we can use Shopify a bit more for those basic things. That's super exciting. And probably my favorite gem out of all of them happened quite a while ago, which has been the Shopify meta fields. And you can see, obviously, the more data we have access to, the more hydrogen's going to work in the future. You can see we're moving more towards the headless, less like theme focused, but also there's always going to be a place for themes for merchants. But yeah, the meta fields and the lists, and we don't even have to use all products to grab that product data anymore. We can grab it straight from the meta fields. Super exciting stuff. The list goes on. Martin, you probably have your favorites.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think I think the B2B, we're going to go into that in a bit. Like, I think that's probably the big game changer out of it and the top headline. But yeah, it is just little things that we're finding as we go as well. Like, I know we got access to discount combinations on one of our dev stores for the first time today. And yeah, you discovered half an hour ago, Gabby, that yeah, you can combine automatic discounts, which weren't expecting that, and that was a really good addition. So yeah, it's just getting in and playing with stuff and finding enough time in the day to do it is the real challenge at the moment, which is always exciting. Darryn, what are your big ones?
I think the big one is obviously it's got to be B2B like yourself. I think that is quite a game changer. Admittedly, it's not perfect out of the box yet. I think it's a good first step. It's like us and like saying, putting our cards on the table, saying, "Hey, we're going to invest in this space," and this is like the first iteration. It's just going to get better and better. So I'm excited about this initial release, but I'm probably more excited about what it means like moving forward as we get more and more resources put into it. Shopify functions, that's going to be very cool. That's like I've been playing with it a little bit myself recently, and yeah, that's another, I think, game changer. Is just going to like wipe out the script editor and make it so much more merchant friendly. It's going to make it easier to like control discounts and unique business logic from within like a single app and have it connected like directly into Shopify. So it's going to make things a lot more easier for merchants to control. Like no more like editing the Ruby code of a script and then doing some theme customization to make it like talk to each other. And yeah, it's going to be much easier. And checkout extensions, that's a biggie. I kind of grew up hacking checkout to bits, checkout.liquid, just using JavaScript and just modifying the heck out of it. And it wasn't very future-proof, like the whole like checkout upgrade path of, every 6 months we had a new version of checkout and you had to make sure your customizations worked in that next version. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and you have to build everything from scratch. But with checkout extensions, you can do it all like within Shopify, all server side, all this great stuff. You can just have it built into Shopify, like next to the core essentially. And there's no need to worry about upgrades or anything. And the Plus merchant can have direct access to all the latest new features which we roll out on a monthly, weekly basis.
I think like Shopify scripts, I don't think there's a developer anywhere who will be sad to see Shopify scripts go. I think it's the version control in there. Despite the power of Shopify scripts, the version control and ability to combine promos and test and all that sort of stuff has been a real nightmare and something that we will happily move away from. I did notice on checkout extensions, I stumbled across something this morning that I couldn't see in any documentation called the checkout editor. Do you have any info on what that is?
Yeah, I'm pretty light on that information, but what I have heard about it is it's kind of it's a way to set your store branding within this like checkout editor space. So the kind of colors, the branding, the logos, that kind of thing. And the idea is that I think long term it won't be isolated just to the checkout, it'll be like to any channel whatsoever. It's kind of like the default branding which will be used in different channels. That's my understanding at this stage. Don't quote me on that. But it's kind of like this way to kind of like have some consistency of the checkout and different channels which use your brand, and have it kind of pull from one single place.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I just happened to stumble across that about 10 minutes before we got on the call, so that's why I threw that one at you. But I think we might jump into, I think, probably the thing everyone's most interested in, as we said, B2B. So why don't we maybe take a bit of a dive into that? And I know, Darryn, you've put some, got a bit of a demo to sort of walk us through there. So yeah, if you want to put the screen share on, and let's have a bit of a look in. And if people have questions about anything to do with B2B as we're going, make sure you send them through as well, because we'd love to answer them on the fly.
Cool, yeah, for sure. So hopefully this works.
B2B.
Yeah.
Love it.
I thought I'd be like that. I took a lot of time to think of that one. This is like my little demo here. Hopefully it works. I have pretty bad track record with live demos, but I have a backup video just in case, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. So hopefully this all goes well, but let's see how we go. So this is my B2B store, very clever. And so here's some basic products. So this is what we call a blended storefront. So this is a online store, which is going to service both like D2C customers and B2B. There is an option to do like separate stores, like if you're on Plus especially, have one store which is B2B and another store which is D2C, and leverage this functionality accordingly. But this is a blended store. And these are my products. So I've got some honey here for $10. This is a normal like D2C experience. You can go to the catalog page and it looks very visual. Like, I'm missing some images for sure, but normally it would be quite visual. So pretty standard setup. But in admin, let's go to customers. You'll see there's a new little tab here called companies. And now you can define this concept of companies. And within a company, you can have locations. So I've got a company here. So one of my retailers is New Zealand Gift Shop. And they have 2 locations, one in Auckland and one in Fairfield in Hamilton. And for each location, you can do things like add customers. So here's a new customer here. If there's one which exists in Shopify, you can just add it from the admin, or you can create a whole new customer account. You can manage the customers, so they can be ordering only, or you can give them location admin control, which gives them that little bit extra control over, I guess, the addresses and that kind of thing in the admin. And they've got a shipping address and billing address, and you can give them price lists. I'll get to that shortly. I'm going to skip over it for now. You can set payment terms. So for this business in Auckland, let's say they're a new business who I haven't actually supplied them with anything yet. We don't have that existing relationship, so I don't fully trust them. So I want them to pay immediately. So they're going to go through a normal checkout flow. I want them to pay with their credit card when they place the order. There are options here to choose net 7, net 15, net 30 for perhaps more trusted businesses. And they can be, charged, they can pay for their orders, 15, 30 days later. You can set tax IDs and tax exemptions. This is more for, I guess, North American market. And there are certain tax exemptions, so not super relevant for us out in APAC, but they are there. And if I go back to, so that was a blanket 30% off on that price list for those people in Auckland. But for the Hamilton group, you'll see I've got a VIP price list with 50% off all products, and I've got one fixed price. You can set, I think, is it 30 price lists per location? Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that's what it is. And you can have, at the moment, 10 customers per company, but that's going to be boosted to 50 very soon. Was it 50 per location? 50 customers per location and 500 per company. So that staff limit is going to increase pretty quickly. And if we go into price list here, so this is where you can control the actual price list. It's much like markets. If you use markets, it's kind of a similar setup. So I set a general blanket price decrease of 50%. It can be price decrease, or it can also be a price increase. I was kind of curious about this. I was like, why would you want to increase the price for B2B? And the valid point was like, if you're doing B2B, perhaps you want to have like a white glove service, right? So maybe if you're buying a product, there's like a setup involved. So, if you're buying like one of those discs which go up and down, there's a bit of a setup fee involved in that. So maybe that's where you'll increase the price.
That's the first time I've ever seen Shopify actually allow you to increase the price on anything. It's been a thing with particularly like adding surcharges to products and that sort of stuff. We've never been able to do anything like that, so that's interesting.
Same here. I've been with Shopify for a long time now, and this is the first I've seen of it too. So it's I've always had to like hack it by like adding extra products into the cart and multiples, so you like a percentage amount. It's a bit hacky, but this is a nice step away from that. But also, if again with like markets, you can set fixed prices for your products, so you can actually set it manually. So you can go into a product and say this product's going to be $20, regardless of the actual like blanket price increase or decrease. But also you can import and export prices. Yeah,
that's
so
that's going to be
key. Yeah, so that's going to be helpful, I think. So that's kind of price list. So again, I've got 2 price lists active for these 2 locations. So let's see what it looks like on the storefront. So again, this is just a typical D2C storefront. I'm going to my customer login here. I think you guys can see the URL up here, but see there's a new customer login portal. So the typical customer login, as we know it, that's going to be phased out in favor for this new portal. At this stage, this portal is not going to be customizable. It's going to be like a very secure area. I think there are plans to make it customizable in the future, but for now it's kind of locked down. So I'm going to log in here. So I need to come back from my account. And we've done away with passwords for this. So I'm just going to go to my email, send me a code. 1 second. Cool. So this is me logged into my wholesale account. You can see account information, you can see past orders, and you can see the locations. So I've got location admin access for this one and just ordering for this one. And when I go to store, I can choose which location I'm buying for. So if I'm obviously a staff member for both of these stores, I can choose which store I want to be purchasing for. I'm going to purchase for the Auckland location. I choose that. And if I go to this product, you'll see it's now $7. So that was my 30% off price list, and you're kind of away laughing. Because we are now logged in as a wholesale customer, one of the cool things about this is there's a new liquid object called customer.b2b ? To see if the customer logged in is a B2B customer. So if you remember before, the catalog page is very much like this featured products page here before for a D2C customer. I've done a little bit of a customization to the theme code here, where I've turned it into an order form layout. So I can see that the customer is a wholesale customer, so I'm going to give them this layout so they can buy multiples of things all at once, because the whole product journey might not make sense for them. So I'm going to add a whole bunch of items to the cart.
Have you put that one on GitHub yet, Darren?
No, the code is terrible. I'm not going to share this.
And in terms of the price there, that's just coming from product.price, or do you need to pull in a
just
certain
from product.price? Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I did have so I've actually done something extra to this, where I'd add an extra discount once I had a threshold of 100, and I had a script which would kick in. So I'm just going to faking this discount for now, and I would normally have a script kick in once it gets to the checkout to actually apply the discount of 10% off if you order over 100 of a certain item. But my script isn't working at the moment, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pretend that it's not there. But normally that's basically how you kind of fill in that that gap which exists of the wholesale channel. You can set like a quantity discount. So if you order 100, 200, you get a certain discount amount. So you can kind of recreate that using scripts and some JavaScript and a theme code. It is on the roadmap to add that into the native functionality, but as a stopgap, that's the way around it.
Is that functionality that'll be in the price list area or in the discounts area?
That functionality would be in a script.
Okay.
So I have a script, a line item script, which says, go through the items in the cart. If it's 100, then discount by 10%. But on the catalog page here, I'm just faking it essentially. You have to like know what script is going to be published, and you have to kind of fake it for now.
No, I was just curious if that was functionality that was going to then be brought into price lists, or if we'll continue using either scripts or in future functions.
I don't actually know yet. I would presume it's built into the price list because that makes sense to me. But yeah, I can't say with any real certainty. So I guess we'll find out soon enough.
We will.
So yeah, we're on the cart page, and I'm going to go through the checkout flow. Let's jump a step because I was playing with this earlier, but see there's no customer information step because we're logged in as a B2B customer. There's no need to supply an address because we're already like customers on the account. We're being approved. We have a location, an approved location to send things to. We choose the standard shipping method. And because I am logged in as that, as for the Auckland store, there is as I'm requiring the customer to like pay with a credit card on that. So we don't have that. We don't have any net 30 payment terms set up for them. So I've actually changed my address here. Notice sorry, I'm going to cancel this. So the price here is like $49, $28, $3.50. So that's that 30% off discount. If I change my address like in the middle of the checkout, say actually I'm going to order for the Hamilton branch instead. If I go back to the checkout, you'll see the discount is now that 50% discount. I have got my shipping rate set up properly, so it's not going to let me check out. I don't have a shipping method to choose for this one, but you can see that you can go back and change which location you're shopping for, and it will update the price of the items in your checkout, which is pretty nifty. But assuming I did have a shipping method set up for this location, if I went to the payment method step, there wouldn't be any credit card input fee. It'll be, hey, you can just buy this now because you have a net 30 payment set up. So I think that's essentially it, I guess. I would complete the order, but I can't for this one. I don't think there's much more to add by completing the order, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. Yeah, do you guys have any like thoughts or questions about it so far?
I got a couple of questions. Actually, I got a lot of questions, but I won't hog it. Yeah, I think probably the first thing that everyone's asking is around like currently you have to assign customers to a company. And I think we start to think of other use cases around like could you use it, say, for offering member pricing or something like that to all of your members who have an account with a certain tag or something like that. Have you seen any workarounds for that yet, or do you think we just need to wait for the next product release for that type of functionality to become available?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, I don't think this is a good fit for B2B. I feel like it's probably better for something else. Like probably like Shopify functions, to be honest. If the customer is like tagged with something, then it sounds very much like script territory, Hey, this is a VIP customer, let's give them a 10% discount. And Shopify functions will make that a lot easier to set up and maintain.
Yeah, it's definitely how we're currently managing it with scripts. I think we heard price lists and we got really excited.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what sort of like needs are there. Because it could be that there's like 500 staff per location per company, so maybe there's like a membership company with like 500 staff in there. Maybe that's a way around it. It's not what B2B is designed for, but I guess technically possible. So yeah,
And I think that's it too. It's important to remember it is called B2B. It's not called member
Member.
or anything like that at this stage. So like the number of use cases for businesses, I think it just it really does change the game. And it was probably one of the last areas where we consistently come across merchants who couldn't use Shopify because of the B2B functionality. And now that just opens the door to all of them. So it's a pretty good first offering, I think. And as it continues to develop, I think we'll just see it really change the types of businesses that can get on the platform.
Yeah, and it really is a first offering. I've got I saw a little roadmap of this, which I believe is a shareable roadmap. I might be in trouble after this, but I'm pretty sure it is shareable. There's a note next to it, should be good, so I'm going to do it. But some things we've got coming up, some vaulted credit cards. That's going to be a thing for B2B. So that's going to be particularly useful for those like net 30, net 60 payment offerings. So if the 30 days passes and they haven't paid their order, then you can use the vaulted credit card to just take the payment because you need your money to keep your business going. Purchase order numbers is going to be coming at some point. So quantity price breaks. So what I was just faking on the storefront then, that is coming. They're going to want to get feature parity with the wholesale channel in that regard. Contextual publishing. This will be a good one. And this also applies to Shopify markets.
Yeah.
So if you're logged in as a customer, perhaps they don't have access to all the products, maybe only half the products for them. So you want to make sure that they don't see products which aren't relevant to them. And quantity purchasing rules. So you might have to have a minimum of 100 or 5 or whatever of a certain product, or you have to buy in increments of 10. So that kind of functionality will be coming in the not too distant future too.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And so if someone wants to go and set up B2B today, it's available to just Plus merchants at the moment. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And
correct.
Yeah. And how about setting it up? Or does it work on all Shopify themes? Because you've got the login functionality sort of sits outside of the main theme. So will it just work on any theme, or are there particular themes that people should be looking for?
It works on any theme. So basically the customer account, the login link, I believe is a URL, liquid drop for the customer login. So basically it just changes the value of that liquid drop and to point to the new login portal. So
yeah, cool.
Just gonna plug and play really. It's nice and easy.
Have you seen any merchants in Australia or New Zealand that have launched with it yet?
No, not yet. There's been kind of some beta access so far. So no one's launched with it. But we had a few people kicking the tires, and it's coming along nicely. Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll have one in a few weeks. I've got one client already who's very interested in it. We scoped out for them a couple of months ago to build out a really custom B2B portal for them, and once which was going to be a lot of extra effort into their project, and now it looks like B2B will meet their requirements out of the box, and they'll be able to configure it themselves. So that's very exciting. Hopefully
I love the whole configurable aspect of it now, right? Because it was previously a wholesale channel, it was very locked down. You could just change some colors and add a logo. It had its purpose at the time, but it's dated quickly. It served its purpose, and it does still serve its purpose. So if on that note, if you don't have to stop using the wholesale channel, it will still exist. So you could even have a store which uses a blended B2B and D2C offering I just showed you, and you could have a wholesale channel active as well. There's no reason you can't use both. So if you want to use both, that's totally fine, but we probably will find that most will be just moving towards this new B2B offering.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might move on to, there's a few other things I was going to try and cover off as well, so I might jump into some of those. I think, I guess in terms of one thing that really stood out and probably has been consistent in Shopify's theming for a long time is just around Shop Pay, and obviously Shopify is constantly doubling down on integrating Shop Pay more into the experience. I think there were some things in the recent announcements around just like making it easier to drop a shop pay button pretty much anywhere on your site, or also in other sites and sales channels as well. What have you seen in shop pay that people are doing that's pushing the boundaries with it essentially?
Yeah, I think people are using it a lot for kind of that tokenized, kind of a way of vaulting credit cards without actually vaulting credit cards. It's a way to kind of like speed up the checkout process. I think that's kind of the biggest one here. People often ask for like a one-page checkout, or even just skipping the checkout entirely. And if you can encourage your buyers to use ShopPay, it takes like a few seconds to complete a checkout. It's so much easier. You have to worry about adding your credit card details or anything like that. It's just, you're kind of away laughing. That's probably the biggest use I see for ShopPay. I know there are some updates coming out around, it has come out, I think, for the North American market at this stage, around like buy now, pay later, kind of lay-by style. So that's going to be built in, or is built into ShopPay now. But yeah, lots of stuff happening around ShopPay.
Yeah, and ShopPay with B2B, ShopPay works with I think you have to use ShopPay for B2B. Is that right?
You have to use Shopify Payments. So you have that as your payment gateway for it to like handle the different price lists and that sort of thing.
Yeah, cool. One of the other areas, probably it's not so new, but Shopify Markets, we touched on it a little bit before. I know, Gabby, you sort of had that was something you had a couple of questions around how that works and what's in the roadmap there. I know we've sort of had a bit longer to sort of play around with that and break it and test its boundaries. So I guess the markets announcements last week was sort of a bit more of what's coming next rather than anything new to play with today.
Yeah, I've got 3 coming soons next to the stuff we're super keen to see come next. You mentioned one of them before, which was being able to choose what products a different region can see for the Shopify markets. That's going to be massive. It's one of the main reasons we still have 2 instances of a Shopify store. And the other thing I found very exciting, might be exciting, is being able to customize the storefront's content inside the customizer. And you probably don't have a demo for that yet, but it's just an idea of how complex and what abilities will come from that would be awesome.
So I don't have a demo for that. But yeah, I guess it's going to be much like the existing customizer like flow. You go to the storefront and you kind of choose which like product page or homepage or whatever template you want to order, choose from. I imagine the product team's probably going to correct me after this, but I imagine it'd be like another drop down saying, are you in what like market are you viewing in the context of, and then like basically going through the same customizer flow, but in the context of whatever market you're targeting.
Cool. Yep. So it's probably going to take more advantage of the JSON templates to be able to set which settings for each.
Yeah. That's my assumption at this stage, but
we'll have to wait and see.
Between
that and the global inventory locations, I know at the moment we're kind of shorthanded by what we can do there because we can't set products individually for a specific location. It's more just the one location for the full collection. So seeing that based on the preferred fulfillment locations is going to be great. Yeah,
it's coming very soon. I believe it might be even my beta access now. I think you can request beta access for it. That's going to be good. I think it just makes sense, right? If you have a location in New Zealand and Australia, and you're shopping on the Australian store, you want to make sure like you're shipping from the Australian location. You want to ship from New Zealand to Australian. Shopify Markets is coming along nicely. I think there's some other stuff around.
Sorry, no, you go, Darryn.
I think some other stuff around like staff specific. They're having like staff for each like location as well, and like a market specific like bank accounts or payouts. So I think it's probably one of the biggest hurdles so far is, you get paid out in your default currency, but maybe you have a bank account or businesses essentially in these different markets. But you don't want them all coming back to one place. So I believe there is one of the things on our roadmap there is to have the ability to set bank accounts or payment gateways for each market you're offering. You have Shopify Payments, but if you're targeting India, Shopify Payments isn't in India yet, I don't believe. So that causes some challenges.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. We've had we've tried with a few different merchants, tried to actually work out, can you get rid of all your extension stores and switch over to just having one instance of Shopify? And that multiple payouts for a large business, having multiple bank accounts is pretty much a necessity. So that'll definitely be all of those little things when they break down and the new features come out. It just gives one less reason for people not to tap into this functionality. We've got a message here. Sorry, I said a call. I sound like a personality. Definitely not. Yeston over in Singapore has asked, can you set market-specific price lists for companies and locations, and can we set products exclusive to certain companies' locations?
Yeah, so for the first part, no. There's work being done in a similar space, but it's not quite what you're asking here. You will be able to set market-specific products and content in the not too distant future, but in the context of a B2B offering, that isn't really possible. I like to think of these B2B as like a separate market, essentially. So you're like New Zealand, you got Australia, and you got like this B2B market. The challenge here is around like how you would handle the currency conversion side of things, like and how like discounts work as well. So the way B2B currently works is when you, let's say I am looking at an Australian store, but I'm in New Zealand. Is this not going to work? Basically, so let's say you have fixed prices set up for Australia. Say this product is going to be $20. It's only $10 New Zealand, but for Australia it's $20 Australian. If I view that store in the Australian currency, in the context of the Australian market, and as a B2B customer logged in, it will ignore that fixed price and it will just use the $10 New Zealand price, but then convert it to Australian dollars. So $12 and $8, whatever the actual conversion is. So that's how it would work at this stage. So right now, that is it's not possible to have market-specific price lists for B2B.
Yeah, it hurts my head just thinking about that, setting that up. So, I can understand why that hasn't been in the first drop there. That's So I think there's another part to that question around location-specific products. Yeah, I think we sort of covered that off before as well. Around that's coming soon, that one. So hopefully, that'll be a big one as well. Once you can just have different products for different markets. We've got another question here actually too. So will there be functionality for customers to request a quote? That's a really good question. So when you get to the cart, I guess, press a button to send off ask for a quote rather than have fixed pricing for B2B.
Not that I've come across. That's an interesting one. I guess you probably wouldn't need B2B for that. That could be done in a theme customization. You can create like this. You could even just create I think traditionally we just sort of create a draft order with that. You could create a function to submit the order details as a draft order and then use Shopify Flow to send a notification to admin, and then they can follow it up, and you can tweak all the pricing in the back end, I guess, to create a custom quote, which would be a really good use case for particularly people placing big orders or people in industries like in selling building materials or trade products and stuff like that. So it's I guess that's one of the other benefits of having B2B with an open-ended front end versus the old wholesale channel is that we can get Gabby and the crew busy on actually building out those sort of
solving those sort of problems. It's not going to put the developers out of a job completely.
Yeah, there's still plenty of work to do.
One other thing we didn't actually touch on yet was, I think this is probably actually one of the most exciting new features that and merchants are starting to get access to it already. I think I saw it on a couple of stores this morning, is discount combinations. I'd say that's probably one of the most requested Shopify features ever, almost, and that just quietly got dropped last week. So yeah, you can now, previously you could only ever use one discount code on the Shopify checkout, but now you can use, I don't know, is it unlimited, Darren? How many you're going to be able to use?
Oh, no, there is a limit. I did come across it. It's a lot.
The limit does
it's a lot.
exist.
If you're using that many discount codes, there's something you should be doing differently.
Yeah. How are you communicating that to your clients?
Hopefully common sense is the limit. That's the moral of the story. But yeah, so essentially now you can, when you're setting up discount code, you're going to be able to just jump in and choose what other discount codes you can combine a code with. Is that right? Did you have I think you had a demo of it.
I do have a demo. Yeah. Here's one you shared
earlier.
Yeah. Where are we? No.
As I said before, Gabby found I did.
Yeah, I went digging.
Nice.
This morning, my first question was going to be, are we going to see multiple automatic discounts? But I was able to set it this morning. So I think that's a pretty solid yes, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think that alone will mean we can rely on Shopify scripts a lot less too, starting straight away, even without needing checkout functions.
Yeah. There's a lot of great things which are coming, which is just going to make life a lot easier for everybody.
It's going to be interesting to see how a Shopify site functions in the next 3 to 6 months. Like, it's a lot of things are going to change. It's very exciting.
Yeah, the whole the checkout flow, especially, I think with extensions and stuff coming, and Shopify functions, and it's really opening things up a lot. We're trying to there's this whole mentality of yes, we're this the SaaS platform, but how can we make it less of a SaaS platform? How can you get people into the core of Shopify and make it do cool stuff without having to pull it to bits? What's a good way we can do that? So we're getting closer. It's getting step by step, day by day. We're getting there. But and this is one of the things. So discounts. So I'm a Simpsons nerd, so I've got a couple of Simpsons products in my cart. Got Millhouse and Radioactive Man. And I've got, I need to actually remove this one just to show you what it's like. So I've set up a couple of discounts here. So one is just a standard discount code, discount 1, to get 10% off my Something Cool product off Millhouse. And down here is this handy little new card you'll see. So you can apply it to, you can say it can be combined with other discounts, other product discounts, or it can be combined with shipping discounts. And this is the same for pretty much every type of discount. So you can do amount of products. So that's what I've just done. Sorry, I don't need to get into it again. Amount of order. So this is actually the one kind of caveat here. So before you see I could combine with products and shipping. If you're doing an order discount, you can only combine it with a shipping discount. So that's the one caveat.
Yeah.
But for all other ones, for the buy X, get Y, and free shipping, you can bind them with any type of discount.
That makes sense anyway, because you wouldn't want to apply a $10 discount and a 10% discount off the entire order, would you? You theoretically shouldn't really ever need to do that.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, the idea behind it. So I've got one discount for 10% off. I'm going to create another one. Let's do 2, and that's going to be 20% off Radioactive Man. Where are you, Radioactive Man? Some goggles. Sweet, and combine with other product discounts. So you can't choose which discounts to combine it with. I believe it's just all or nothing. So something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Again, probably better from a management perspective.
So if I do discount 1 like that, awesome. Got $1 off Millhouse, and discount 2. $2 off some goggles, some radioactive man goggles. So yeah, pretty simple. Nothing too strenuous there. It's just a matter of setting up some discount codes and telling it to combine with other discount codes. So nice and easy.
That one is going to put us out of a job a little bit, I think.
Yeah, the simple ones are the best ones.
Yeah, and that's great. People can just jump in and start playing with that. I think it's rolling. I saw it was rolling out over the next sort of few weeks. So yeah, I think I've seen it on a couple of dev stores, but I think it looks like one of those magic Shopify features that'll just magically appear for people over the next couple of weeks, unless you've got some magic buttons you can press for all of our clients, Darryn.
Tick, 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 tick.
I think it's rolling out now, right?
Yeah. Cool. We've got a question from LinkedIn user here. Good to hear from you, LinkedIn user. Great learning session. Thanks. Question for Shopify Markets: when will market-specific pricing be applied to draft orders? And let's jump into that one first. If you've got
I don't know. I have heard conversations about this, so it is something we're aware of. I can't give time frames or anything, but I think it's fair to say that it's something that we would be working towards, markets, B2B pricing. This is all kind of very early days, and it's just we're going to get more and more resources put into it. So gaps like this will be filled in the ongoing future.
Cool. And the second bit is around the second bit was just how can market specific promotions be managed using Shopify Markets? So I guess can you set a discount code to a currency, I guess, is almost the question there.
Yeah, I guess you can't with discount codes. My thoughts go to scripts for this one, or soon to be Shopify functions. We can say if the presentment currency is US dollars, then apply this discount. If it's Australian dollars, then apply that discount. If there is, I guess, market specific, I guess there's probably a bit to unpack around what the promotion is exactly. You can set market specific pricing, so that in itself could be the promotion, right? So if for the next week I'm going to update the Australian market pricing to give an extra 20% off these products, and that could be it. Or if you want to have scripts to kind of be a bit smarter about it and have some conditions in there, then that's an option. Or if it's just about showcasing different collections, or perhaps sale banners for each market, there's work being done in this space. But for now, you could just do a little liquid check in the theme code. It's not super merchant friendly. There's a bit of hard coding involved, but you can say if current currency is Australian, then if current locale is Australia, then output this winter promo banner. If it's US, then show the summer promo banner. So a bit of hard coding liquid kind of approach can address that angle of things.
Yeah, and I think there's always going to be a use case for having multiple stores for different regions as well, because you start to go down that rabbit hole, and you can see just thinking out some of these problems on this call today, there's some things that are just better solved by having a separate store for different markets, and things like seasonality is another great one as well, where northern hemisphere and summer hemisphere, if you're selling swimsuits, you're going to be the seasonality is going to be quite different. So there are always going to be valid reasons for multiple stores. And I think one other thing too is that I think just using the simple functionality that already exists is sometimes a good way to solve stuff too. Like, just if you're doing a discount code for all markets, just make it a 10% off discount rather than a $10 discount. And then it's easy to share on all of your socials without having to target that to different regions. And every customer gets a 10% discount at the checkout. And you don't have to then think about all of the edge cases that are no doubt going to come back to bite you in some shape or form.
Yeah, I like that thought. It kind of rattles something loose, and how I like to think of markets versus expansion stores. I like to think of expansion stores as a way to localize. So you're having local content, local pricing, local businesses, local people, local staff running and maintaining those businesses. Whereas markets is perhaps more internationalization. So you have an existing store, you just want to expand the reach of that store. So that's kind of a way I like to frame it in my mind.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it like that before, but yeah, that's spot on.
That's
And I
good
think
input.
the other thing too, I think, is with creating an expansion like markets, it's also a great way to test a new market as well. I think there's still people that can be braver, I reckon, with just setting up a new market and trying to sell in a different currency and see if it sticks and run a bit of marketing there. And then it might be that you do need to end up getting an expansion store to service that market. But for building new audiences, it's just something that everyone's got at their disposal they can start running with straight away. We've got a question here from Lauren, which is a good one too. Stackable discounts, are they available on all plans or just Shopify Plus?
All plans.
Yeah. Always a good answer, that one. Which will make a huge difference for people on the lower Shopify plans too, because currently they don't have access to scripts. So being able to do that is a real game changer. And the other thing too, which was seen, Shopify Flow, which used to be Plus only, is now available on, I think it's just advanced, isn't it? So now on the advanced plan, you can get access to Shopify Flow, which just keeps getting more and more powerful with all the extensions available and all the different things you can do with it, with passing data to Klaviyo and triggering behaviors in apps and all of that sort of stuff. Cool. Okay, I've got another question they're firing through now. So questions around discounts. So how can we combine automatic discounts without the need for users to enter a coupon? And can we combine automatic discounts with coupon code discounts? So so the first part, so they're always hard to read, these ones, and then solve.
I think for the first one, your automatic discounts are going to apply whether you don't need to put in a coupon code. But for the second one, can we combine them with a coupon code? That's a good question. I'm not sure if Stackables made that, if our multiples has made that possible, or if it was already possible.
I'm pretty sure it has made it possible.
It has, hasn't it? Because you can you can set it to apply to two. Yeah,
I'm just going to I'm testing on my little.
That's the best way to do it. I can imagine the limitation you talked about before, where you can't have you can't stack the entire order discount. So that'd have to be all relating to products specifically. But that's
exactly. And I just tested, and I can confirm that you can combine automatic discounts with discount codes.
Yeah. Great. And that's the beauty of it as well. It's really easy to jump in and play around and test with it. So I think it's everyone's going to have a lot of fun playing with that. We're going to be getting lots of questions over the next few weeks, I reckon. And Yeston again has sent through a question. So what are the merits of localization versus internationalization in terms of features and flexibility?
Good question.
We've only got 5 minutes left. We'll see if we can.
This could take a while. I guess so localization is kind of a way to give you that finer level of control. So if you have a separate store for each market, then you can, to the point earlier around having like the seasonality issue, you can say, hey, I've got this collection of products being dropped in Australia, New Zealand winter, and a different collection of products for North American summer. You can set like staff to each store as well. You might want to have like one, like us out in Australia maintaining the North American store. Payouts, we kind of mentioned that markets will be filling this gap soon, but you're going to be paid out in your the US bank account or your Australian bank account, depending on where the business is located. So I think for now, the gap again will be less as markets grows. But for now, I think that's probably the main benefit of going that localized approach. With internationalization, I think it's just the best thing about it is it's easy, right? If you're already well established in your existing market, you're like, hey, actually, I want to see how my product, how my brand does in Australia. I'm going to create a new market for Australia, give it some different pricing, and just see how it goes, and just start like pulling in people from that Australian market. So it's kind of a good growth point, as opposed to tailored content, tailored experience, I guess.
Yeah. The other thing too, I think the back of house is always the big thing to consider with any kind of internationalization strategy too. If you've got 3PL in the US, but you've got a completely different ERP in Australia and New Zealand, then it's probably not worth the effort of trying to tie all that together. And so there's going to be those considerations as well, which often, get you to a dead end in terms of combining everything into one store pretty quickly. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left, so we'll wrap up in a minute. I just thought while we've got that time, I thought I'd just try and fire off on a couple of questions that probably require almost their own conversations completely. I know, hydrogen and oxygen is obviously another big talking point, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in that space over the next few months. Have you had much of a play around with hydrogen yet?
I have. It's awesome. I love with oxygen as well. It's just so easy now. You just essentially add a new sales channel to the admin, and you're away. You connect it to your GitHub repository. You have your production branch, and you might say, actually, I want to create a different branch for my staging, and you just click a button, and it just sets it all up for you. It gives you some developer URLs. It gives you URLs for each environment to just test accordingly, and it's just so easy. And the content management side of things, there's some stuff happening in that space, because if you're going here, let's say if you have a custom storefront like Hydrogen, then the content structure is going to be different. So how do you address that? Right now we're using Contentful kind of thing, a separate CMS, like Contentful or Sanity to fill that gap. But we have some native offering there too. And just some other stuff around make it easier to migrate to a custom storefront if you want to. So you have to do it all at once. You can do it piece by piece and have kind of your online store and your custom storefront running merged together, and you kind of incrementally just transition to online to a custom storefront. Again, this is a whole could be a whole other conversation.
Absolutely. Do you think we're going to see Liquid run to the end of its life, or do you think they're going to coexist for a long time yet?
I reckon they'll coexist. Yeah, I think Liquid still has its place. I think that's going to move away from using Liquid for conditional purposes, like the logic side of things, and more as content, ways to grab content and output it, like meta fields essentially. I think that's where its true power lies. But I think Liquid's here to stay for quite a while yet.
Yeah, well, we've just booked a follow-up conversation sometime soon to talk about hydrogen. I think we're just about at the end. Are there any last points, anything that we haven't covered today that you think we should have?
For me, I think there's a lot we could have talked about, but I think we've done a good job covering the good stuff, the juicy stuff.
The list goes on for days.
I'm pulling up the editions site now to just go through everything.
Absolutely. Well, no, thank you so much. It really is an absolute pleasure to have this chat, and we could have gone on for, I feel like we're only just getting started today, so it's always great to chat with the two of you, and hopefully everyone listening along has enjoyed it too. Hit us up on LinkedIn if you have any other questions, and we'll try and get back to them. Thanks for tuning in to OD and Chill.